Roll call, please.
Steve Borndal,
Here.
John Bonifaz,
Here.
Doug Rowdy,
Here.
Jay Luke.
Here.
Jeremy Hall,
Here.
5 out of 5 are present.
For motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve as presented on the.
A second.
Aye.
Wait on.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think under 10B, being there was somebody here from the city today to talk a little bit about that bathroom, that, you know, we don't want to have any action, I don't think, on that today, maybe even any discussion until at least the two parties have sat down and talked about it. So I'd like to strike B for the day. Carry it on till the discussions have taken place. If you know, the motion will be so kind.
You need a motion on that?
No, just, yeah.
I approve the change and.
Oh, that's what.
And the
Aye.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of the minutes from the October 1st meeting of 24.
Looked all right to me yesterday. I haven't read them today, but. Make a motion we approve.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes from the October 1st meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Public comment. Public comment. Seeing none. Receipt of information from supervisors not seated, seeing none. Fair Society update, seeing none.
There hasn't been any contact after our county board meeting?
Yes, we have had a negotiation session with them. And they've taken that back to their people at this point. And just waiting.
Wait until the day before the next meeting.
Their annual meeting is coming up the day before the
11th.
county board meeting, so we should have information by the county board meeting time, we hope.
Even the change in date. County board meeting changed the date.
What date?
Oh, I don't know, it's a week ahead.
12th.
5:30.
Yeah, I know, it's the
Yeah.
11th is their meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, they have their annual meeting on the 10th and or the 11th, and we have our meeting.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Just for discussion. You know, I listened to the comments at our last county board meeting. I pretty much got an idea that if it's in the budget for this year, but I think if we don't get it, if they don't agree, I don't think we'll ever see a grandstand there.
Well, John, we had the negotiation session and that's what we were told and pointed, I guess, to do.
Clear
Yeah, we made it very clear to them.
what the situation is.
So I don't think it's appropriate for us to discuss anything that was talked about negotiations at this point because the ball's in their court at this time.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
Number 8, initial outdoor recreation plan. Who do we have to speak to that? There we go.
Huh.
Buddha.
Johnny,
I gotta
you're
teach you.
early with that.
All right, good afternoon. Tim Anderson, the county planner here. I drew the short straw between me, Brent, and Tony to be up here talking about the outdoor recreation plan. So today, I'm here to introduce the draft to you guys. You all have a copy, a paper copy that I handed out to you before the meeting here. And myself, Tony and Parks, and Brent and Forestry are the main staff that worked on developing this draft for you guys. Before we do anything further, I thought it might be nice to just do a little refresher, give a little background on the outdoor rec plan and kind of its purpose. So you can see in the bullet points here that the main thing that it's been used for over the years here at the county has been a document that we can look at projects and suggestions and get grant funds for them, whether that's through stewardship funds or other funds through the DNR or the state of Wisconsin. We've gotten quite a bit over the years for redoing bathrooms and like the ATV park that's going in right now. We've gotten quite a bit of funds through the state to implement some projects here. The plan identifies needs, identifies needed improvements and projects related to outdoor recreation in the county. We also wanted to get feedback and sentiments from the public on outdoor recreation and how things are going out there. The plan also establishes some goals and objectives for the county for the next 5 years for outdoor recreation. And the reason we're here today is that the old one is expiring at the end of the year here, and it needs to be updated every 5 years to maintain our eligibility. Next slide. More information on the plan's background, mostly related to public input. We had an online survey that was available for about a month from mid-July to mid-August this summer. We also looked at, there's a couple different things from the state of Wisconsin that give us an idea as to trends and information about outdoor recreation in our region. One of those is the recreational opportunities analysis, and the other is the state's comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. Staff themselves, both Tony and Brent, visited each of our parks and facilities in the last few months to assess the conditions and any needs out there. And we also worked together to develop some recommendations for improvements and maintenance at each of these county-owned facilities.
How many respondents did you get on the survey?
427. So.
Oh.
Yep. Here it is. Yep, it's coming. You beat me to the punch. Next, I want to just summarize a little bit of the public input that we gathered from that survey. As I mentioned, over 400 respondents. I think it's pretty clear with the amount of effort and amount of engagement and projects that we've accomplished in the last 5 to 10 years that the enthusiasm for outdoor recreation is still really strong in the county. There's still to mention that there's compatibility issues or concerns on some of the properties from some of the residents. One of the things that I thought was great is that 70% of the respondents felt that our maintenance is good or excellent of our facilities. So that's good news. And I guess you might not be surprised that when you survey people, if they enjoy something, they want you to produce more of it and have more of it. So every user said, if you could have more of what we enjoy, please produce that kind of stuff. The next couple slides are going to be kind of in the details a little bit of what the outdoor rec survey kind of told us. The first one here is we asked a question about which facilities do you use and how frequently do you use them. So this chart might be a little hard to see. If you're curious, all of the results for the outdoor rec survey are in the back of the plan that I handed out to you in the appendix. So you can see the full results there. This chart's organized based on the amount of people that use it on a daily basis, but you can see even that's not super frequent, but we do have hundreds of people using things once a month, once a week, once a year. And so we just kind of wanted to get an idea of how often people are using our facilities and which ones they're using. This gives an idea as to maybe where resources might need to be targeted or where we might need to advertise some more or let people know what's available at these parks so they can get more use going forward. Slide. Trying out a few different ways to display information. This is a different chart than maybe you're normally used to seeing in terms of like a graph. A lot of times there are pie charts and that kind of thing. This is organized from most responses to least responses, and the corresponding box size is the number relatively of the responses. So we asked across all these different age groups, what activities do you do at the county facilities? Unsurprisingly, walking is probably the most because pretty much everybody can do that. It doesn't require any specific equipment or any specific trails or anything like that. You can walk pretty much at any spot. So you can see another few things that might be interesting. We got biking, canoeing and kayaking ranked pretty high. ATV riding did as well. One thing that might get overlooked a lot of times when we talk about outdoor recreation is hunting. That's a huge issue for those of us that use public land, especially county forest. Coming up in the next few weeks here, they're gonna see the Army of Orange out there getting after some deer. We did analyze this a little bit too, based on age group, just to see if there are any differences. And it's pretty synonymous. It's pretty standardized across the board where any of the different age groups that you looked at pretty much participated in these things at about the same rate. So it's good to know. Next slide. We also wanted to understand a little bit why people might not be utilizing our facilities. So we asked that question specifically, and you can see in this chart, the main response we got is not enough information on what is available. So that tells us that we need to do a little bit better job of telling people what is available, and whether that's on our website or finding other means of communication, like maybe social media and our signage and kiosks at our different facilities to let people know what's available. In addition, desired activities not being offered. So that tells us that we need to continuously evaluate how our properties are being used and what activities should be available on them. Okay, next slide. We also asked which facilities need improvement. Again, I want to emphasize that 70% said it was our facilities were being managed well. And you can see that the trails, the two state trails of the Gandy and the Stour are the ones that got the most. And that's probably because they get used the most. So you have more eyes out there, more people that are utilizing those facilities, and they're probably going to give you some feedback as to how they feel about it, just based on sheer numbers. Next slide. This goes along with the feeling about what is the question that was asked about how do you get your information? Facebook and social media and word of mouth were the two highest. So relating back to the previous question where we were talking about, not knowing what you can do on any of those facilities, I think this one clearly shows that there's an avenue that maybe you aren't tapping into as much, where Facebook or social media might be a spot where we can tell people a little bit more about what's going on our individual properties. Okay, next slide. We also asked, what do you want expanded or added to county facilities? And just like the previous chart, it goes from most frequently responded to least. And we've got hiking trails, off-road biking, ATV trails, canoe and kayak launches, some beaches, cross-country skiing. Interestingly, modern restrooms was one of the key responses here. And I know we've done some work on that. For example, at the visitor center down in St. Croix Falls, we have a brand new facility there at the Gandy Answer Trailhead. Next slide. So that was just kind of a brief overview of like the summary of the public survey that we held this summer. The next steps for us is that the draft plan that you guys have before you will be put on our website after today's meeting so that the public can review it for the next month or so. And then we'll need to set a public hearing with this committee so that we can hear those any public feedback on this document before it gets adopted. And then we'll need your recommendation at the December meeting to go to the county board meeting also in December so that this can get adopted this year. So we wanted to give it to you now so that you, along with the public, will have 30 days to look at it, come up with any questions, updates, edits, that kind of thing that you would like to see included in this plan before it gets adopted. And then we can hold that public hearing and you guys can make recommendation to the county board. Any questions on that?
On this 400 and some that were active in this survey.
Mhm.
Where did they come from? The 400 and some, they were volunteers or?
Yeah, it was just word of mouth. We put out notice in the newspaper that the survey was going on and contacted key stakeholders to spread the word. And whoever decided to fill it out online were the ones that filled it out.
Okay.
75% of the respondents were Polk County residents. That's for your information.
Didn't know.
So as far as the public hearing goes, previously, we have typically held one of these in an evening so that we could get more public feedback. The other options that we've done for public hearings have been at a committee meeting. So I guess I'll leave it to you guys if you would prefer to do an evening public hearing between now and your next meeting, or if you'd rather have the public hearing at the next Public Safety, Public Works Committee meeting.
Unknown caller.
There you go, Johnny. Attaboy. That's on time, that one.
Damn thing to shut it off is broken. Missing this.
Oh, do you know where that is?
In our conversation, you left me a message and I called you back.
Yeah.
You indicated you needed somebody from the committee to sit on some kind of informational board that goes over this document, or what's the purpose of
A
the?
different document. So coming up in the future, we're going to be working on a bicycle and pedestrian plan, which is separate from this. And that's mostly related to transportation, outdoor recreation.
Okay,
And so, yeah, that plan is going to start being developed in the next few months, and we're going to meet later this month for an advisory committee. So I was hoping that one of the Public Safety, Public Works Committee members could be on that. It would be, like I talked to you, Steve, we would be meeting about 4 times in the next year just to go over the trends that are related to bicycle and pedestrian planning and analyze the routes and provide feedback. So it'll be a mix of, interested parties, other local government officials, as well as somebody from the committee on that. That's a separate planning effort than this.
Yeah.
Mike.
Counselor, can we just appoint somebody on this committee to that without it being on the agenda, or?
Is it time sensitive that it has to be done now, or could it be done at the December 3rd meeting?
It was just an invite to the chairman. So, yeah, I mean, we're trying to have our meeting in the next couple weeks here. So it is time sensitive.
Or away from this meeting, can I just accept his invitation and go to those 4 meetings? And
I think that would be fine. Having the committee appoint someone to do that would be something that isn't necessarily on the
Okay.
agenda.
you just let that ride then. We'll do it the easy way. Any other questions then for him on the outdoor recreation plan?
What about setting the public hearing date?
Date for public hearing.
Yeah. Would you guys prefer that to be an evening meeting, or would you rather do that at your next meeting?
Well, how long are we talking about?
Depends on the number of comments and number of people that attend to
Yeah,
respond to it. We've had open houses in the evening before, and it's been sporadic, I guess, in terms of its attendance.
suggest that we do it during our regular meeting session in the afternoon.
Because then if you guys hear something that you'd like to incorporate, you could make a recommendation with those changes to be made in the document, and we can make that before the county board.
You want to do it the next meeting then?
And what's the notification? You got to put publications out, right?
Yes, we need to make,
The time frame for that?
I think it's a 2-week notice.
We can do it the next
Okay,
meeting.
so the next meeting then.
Yep, it's fine.
We can do our meeting later, I suppose, so that we could accommodate
Good.
so we could do a 5 o'clock or a 6 o'clock meeting to accommodate the people that want to come to the hearing.
I'll leave that up to you.
The rest of the committees think about that.
Make difference to me.
So 5 o'clock, late enough to get the people that might have,
Interest.
or should it be 6 o'clock?
It's gonna be easier than 2 o'clock, yeah.
Okay.
So 5 PM on your next committee meeting date for the public hearing?
Right, that'll be, December 3rd.
And then our regular meeting would follow the public hearing. Whatever time.
Yeah, just like we do at like the environmental services, you could have a set time where it's like at 5 o'clock and then you could finish up your.
5 o'clock's better then.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so I think 5.
Okay, sounds good. And feel free to reach out to any of us if you have questions or comments in between now and the next meeting.
Do you agree? Okay,
Works.
all right.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
So we're looking for an update from CJCC. I assume Don has that for us.
I can provide that, sir. Numbers for October in treatment court, we had 8 and 1 graduation, 4 in substance diversion. And if you'll recall, this is a program that we've been chronically low enrollment, so having 4 is great. 1 graduation, 2 in IDIP, which is intoxicated driver program. Historically, we've had a lot higher numbers in those, but some changes to sentencing and prosecution, et cetera, have reduced our numbers there. 1 completion though in IDIP, and we had a first-time offender class with 3 in it. We're planning a treatment court graduation tentatively for Friday, December 6th. It's so wonderful when board members come. Thank you to those who come early and come often. If you can, come at 9 o'clock and see the court proceedings. That's where the really interesting stuff happens. But Melissa will get information out to everyone closer to that date with a confirmation of the graduation.
Tentatively, you say the 6th.
That's correct, sir. Friday,
Okay.
December 6th.
Yeah, the last one I attended, there was some confusion on my part, but I got it squared away now about St. Croix County, you know, the cases that they bring forth are not all from Polk County. You know, there's St. Croix and Polk County cases, so Don clarified that issue for me, and I was confused a little bit by St. Croix County cases being, but they have cases in both counties, so.
Right. If I could clarify further, the person would need to be a resident in Polk County, but they could have charges in a different county to participate.
Any questions for Don? Hearing none, moving on to update from Public Works.
Clam Falls Dam is moving from phase 1 to phase 2. They're gonna be dropping the water level approximately 2 more feet, and they have to DNR clearances to do that for the dewatering, to move the coffer dam. With them going to phase 2, they're gonna be opening up 1 lane of County Highway I on the bridge. And I talked with Josh. I'm not clear at this time if they're gonna be putting a stop sign on each side of the bridge, or if they want Josh and Highway to do that. That's some details that we'll figure out yet. And they're hoping to have that completed to open up that lane in the next few weeks. So that's some good progress happening there. The recycling work continues. We've been working through issues with engineers and general contractor, with various things that got missed in the engineering side of things, and then change orders from the general contractor after it's found. And I know Mo and I have a meeting down there next week. Yeah, next Wednesday, with one of the engineers to go through a bunch of issues down there. As far as the park side of things, I will let Tony speak on the naming of the Woodley Dam property. We're really not looking at a resolution or anything for that. We just want to give you some information before we spend the money to get the signs that we're going to put in the parking lot and then on County Highway H. So we can get some feedback from you all and see what you think.
So I'm just handing you a little background information on the property. It might just help visualize what we're talking about here. So the Woodley Dam property, if you're familiar with that, it's an 8-acre parcel located by the intersection of 8 and H. Driveway access is from County H. And then there's also the property has some trail access to 101st Street. And it's situated right along the Apple River and then near the intersection of the snowmobile routes 46 and 10. We currently have a sizable parking lot on the property. And the property was identified in the trail network plan to develop as a trailhead parking area for the snowmobile trails. In addition to some other outdoor recreation opportunities, being right on the river, it lends itself well to providing river access, whether that be floating a canoe, a kayak, an inner tube, fishing. And so additional plans that came out of that network plan or a trail network plan included the river access, picnic area, wayfinding kiosk, and some future restroom facilities. And if you look at the air photo showing the property lines, you'll see there's also space on the property that a short nature or hiking trail could also be installed. So it's a property that could be used for outdoor recreation year round. Right now, we have a parking lot there for riding access to the snowmobile trail. Right now, I think people really don't know who owns that, what it's for. Like we said, there's no signage for it. So what we'd like to do is really start promoting this area so that it does get some use. And one way for us to do that, I think, is to formally name it a park, give it a name so that we have something to put on these signs. You know, and gathering background information on this, I reached out to the Polk County Historical Society just to find out, you know, what's the history of this property. I know it's been called the Woodley Dam for a long time. All of you are going to be way more familiar with the history of that than myself, being new to the area. But I found it interesting that before it was owned and operated by Woodley, the dam was originally built by someone named Fred George Riddler and operated a grain mill and sawmill there before it became the Woodley Dam. And then the county acquired it from Woodley as a result of a tax dispute. So the question is, how do we, you know, what direction do we want to go with naming this particular property? For what it's worth, the Historical Society recommended going more towards the Riddler name to be used for this versus Woodley, and based on that history. So with that, I just listed off a couple potential name options, and we're certainly going to be looking for some feedback from the committee on this. We could go with something like Riddler Park, Riddler's Mill Park, Woodley Park, Woodley Dam Park. And then I've heard the area called the Country Dam as well. So Country Dam Park, that one doesn't roll off the tongue quite as nice as the others, but I threw it on there. So like I said, we're looking to bring this into our park system as a recreational opportunity for people. Getting some signs up there, getting some information on our website so that we can start promoting this area, getting people using it, not only for parking for snowmobiles in the winter, but providing river access as well. So.
And to add to Tony's point, part of the PTAG project or all the planning and everything with the PTAG projects themselves, this property was obviously chosen for the snowmobile parking and then as well as everything that Tony said as part of that whole PTAG process as well, in addition to the outdoor rec plan and everything else.
And I don't know, Mo, I don't know what formal process needs to take place to name a property, if there is one, but.
We can do it by resolution, I believe. Simple resolution. One of the things, Tony, that, correct me if I'm wrong, but renaming something a park and does open up opportunities for grants and other things to apply with the state for funding for maintenance and improvements. Also versus just having a property.
Once it's dedicated parkland, is it always parkland?
It's a good question.
So
If grant funds are used, then yes.
those would restrict our ability to remove a property, depending on whatever the restrictions are on that particular grant. For example, we used a grant on the Stour Trail 15 years ago, and that restricted the ability for us to do certain things on the trail for a certain period of time. And so grants can have restrictions after you use them on what can happen with the property. So theoretically, it could bind us to keeping it as a park for a certain period of time. They usually aren't in perpetuity. There'll usually be some kind of expiration on monetary use, but obviously as those numbers increase, it can be longer and longer periods of time. As for whether we'd be able to take it out if there was nothing binding us through a grant, I believe that would be at the discretion of, it says either the park commission or the general manager. I don't know that we have a parks commission, which means it would be the general manager, which is authorized when we have a county administrator form of government, which I think would be Mr. Polk. Would probably be my general interpretation of that, but I haven't dove too deeply into it. So for naming purposes, like Mo said, I think staff here would be perfectly fine if the committee wanted to have a resolution that wanted to put forward that basically directed staff to engage in naming a certain way. But I think theoretically, either Rod or someone else within the organization would have the power to do it without a resolution if the committee and or the board wanted to move forward that way.
And there is a,
And this property was a larger tract at one point that was several years ago was resurveyed out and sold and put back on the tax roll. The reason we have the 8 acres was continuation and contiguity of the snowmobile trail and the bridge that's existing there. So we didn't cut off that access from east to west to remain under county ownership. So we had to have that.
and some of the differences between some of our properties, whether it's a recreation area or a park, if you deem it a park, there's no hunting allowed. So when we did the ATV intensive use area, it was deemed an area so people could still hunt it and we didn't displace hunters.
Sure.
So
Would it be possible to have something like Polk County Recreation Park, or I'd like to see something with Polk County. If people are looking, looking at Polk County in a website or something. Maybe these other ones, they don't have any recognition. If we had like Polk County Recreation Park or Polk County Dam Park, give us a little bit, maybe more recreate, just in some thought, and we need ideas.
I would think that tying it to the history would be more favorable than just another county park. But in Riddler, the name Riddler, of course, is the history of that property. It's not all included in here. There were electricity was generated in DC current out of that dam that he was involved in originating, along with his mill. They had I don't recall the total number of, but there was a half dozen or so electric customers that actually were fed electricity off of that dam. So I think if we were to name it Riddler's or attach it to Riddler's Mill or whatever, Park Dam, and somehow it would encourage somebody to wonder where that came from. Doing some research, they would find an interesting history of that piece of property. Very interesting, actually, because it's unique to mostly anything that's happened in that era. So I would definitely favor connecting to Riddler. That would tie it locally much more than Woodley name, which came from St. Paul. So I would be in favor of a Riddler name if it has any influence or interest.
Fred was an interesting man.
Who was?
Oh, Fred.
Yeah, him and his dog. A lot of fun there.
Yep.
Is there any other discussion? Is there anybody else got an opinion or? I mean, I think if he founded it, he had that much going on there. I believe that's probably a proper name.
I would-
Discussion would be is way back from when I was young, you know, we're talking high school. It was Woodley's Dam. Like you say, he wasn't really from here. He moved into this area.
Well, when I was young, it wasn't even a mill. No, not that bad, but Riddler was very active at that. He had one clean spot in that big bar there that he kept clean, so for the customer that came in that
I
day,
think the dog licked that clean.
he always chasing the billfold, yeah. Interesting individual.
Did he have a sawmill there at one time too? Do you know, Jay?
Yeah.
I thought he did.
Sawmill, and then the dam, of course. I think that was connected up to the power to the sawmill. And had excess powder from that generator with the current, and they wired it out to a couple of farms or several farms. I don't remember the exact number. It's all history.
Is that old generator still laying down highway that came out of there?
I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
I don't know. They laid in the weeds there for a long time. I suppose it got cleaned up, huh?
When we moved the facility and that old generator got, placed on auction. That's the one you're thinking of.
Yeah, it was a turbine.
That was in the blacksmith shop, or
No, it laid down there by the salt shed. It was taken out of Woodley Dam. But I don't know, it might still be laying
I'll
there.
have to look.
It might be an interesting piece to display if we're gonna make it a park, you know. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, and one thing too, if we name it after Riddler, give the opportunity to provide some historical information signage right there at the park too, kind of explaining the history,
locally.
the important.
Well, he was the originator.
Sure was.
So do we need a motion or can we just make a recommendation or how do we do it?
So, again, I think you can all, maybe by consensus, make a recommendation for what you think would be a good name. It doesn't have to be by resolution. It doesn't have to be necessarily by motion. It's relatively informal. It's more, I believe, a request to see what whether the committee has any input on what they would like to see.
Does that change if it's dedicated parkland though?
So again, I believe the park manager would be the person that determines whether or not it is or is not a park. It wouldn't be a determination for this this committee or the board to make. It would be for because we're an administrative form of government, it would be the park manager.
Anybody on the committee that's against Riddler? If so, speak up.
I like Riddler's Mill Park.
Which one?
Riddler's Mill Park. I think we should have mill in there.
I like Mill in there too, myself. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I just think that anything related to the original history of, would tie it to Riddler, of course, would be my recommendation, due to the fact of the local historical significance of his name in reference to that piece of property.
Riddler's Mill, all right with you?
Well, I don't care what they call it, Riddler's Mill, we call it Riddler's Mill, before it was designated as a dam, basically, what Woodley's was the dam, because he used it for the name of dam site.
Anybody object to Riddler Mill? That'll be it. All right. Update from highway.
Yes, sir. I passed out the financial report. That is for October. And your response there. Wrapped up our 2024 projects at Highway. The last one we completed was some LFA money that we received for paving State Road 35 from W to the north end of Frederick. They allowed us to roll over some of our discretionary maintenance dollars from the 35 scrub seal into that project to help get more patching done because the funds they had allocated originally made it more of a patchwork quilt patch than all the way through, except for that intersection in town. They wouldn't let us pave there. So I don't know if you've been up there yet. It rides much better, but
Oh,
it's
boy.
temporary at best.
It's a big improvement,
Yes.
huge.
Crew is still installing culverts, still got some culverts to get installed here before freeze up. October 31st, last week, we had our winter kickoff training, which was appropriate because we also had winter kickoff last Thursday with some heavier snowfall on the west and north side of the county. We had a couple of WISDOT representatives come up and discuss WISDOT winter expectations and best management practices with the crew members on the state side of things for the state road maintenance. Did some tire chain training, made the newer individuals that hadn't chained up before actually get the tires on, secure them, and go through that process before they have to do it on the side of the road during a storm. We did our truck rodeo course, our driving course where they all compete for hitting obstacles. It's not timed anymore. Things tend to get messed up more when it's timed and they're going fast. So we go for accuracy now and they have to utilize the front plow and this year the wing of the truck to hit obstacles, swingers and stuff throughout the course. There's a barrel weave and backing into a dock and some other things they do. We've been doing that for years down at Highway. The two winners this year were Don Utek and Troy Riley, some of our veterans down at Highway, both got the top place at the truck rodeo this year. We also did CPR and AED training in-house for the entire crew, so they've all got a 2-year certification for CPR and AED. Now, I'm working on finishing up our 6 to 20 foot structure inventory. I also attended the Towns Association meeting last week and went over, that might have been the week before. Attended the Towns Association meeting and talked to the townships about some stuff going on with Highway and 6 to 20 inventory for the above 60 and under 20 foot structure inventory that the state's currently pushing right now to get all those structures that fell by the wayside that weren't in the bridge program, and we've got hopefully some funding down the road for that. Right now it's just funding for inspection and inventory. Still doing our fall mowing, finishing up with the county roads, getting some of the ditches and brush mowed back. Pothole patching's in full swing. Truck setup and calibration, we've got crew members working on that. Our night shift officially started this week, so we've got our 2 night shift crew members now through April working at the highway department. And yeah, I'll be passing out RFQs after the meeting. I've got some packets for each of you with the score sheets, the request for qualifications for the engineering firms for the Town of Apple River 153rd Avenue Bridge project and the Clam River Bridge up there by the dam project. So I'll get those to you guys after the meeting and go over that quick with you. That's all I had, unless anyone had questions.
This doesn't relate to that, but I had a call on crack sealing and chip sealing, and the fellow that called me actually lives in the town of Balsam Lake, but they also own a home on Ward Lake. So he reads both of the minutes from both meetings. And in there was the discussion of the town of Balsam Lake works with the county to crack seal and chip seal, reducing their cost, and they've offset some work, I think he said, which we don't have in Bone Lake. We have no crew and we have no equipment. But he was wondering because they were saying it's half the price, get it done working with the county than it does with Bone Lake paid. So is there I know that's kind of general, but is there an answer to that, or?
As far as if we can work with the towns on it?
County, would you come up to Bone Lake and try and help?
Yeah,
Absolutely. We
In
will
some
work
way
with
and
the townships on its costs. It depends on the input the town sometimes can put into the project too. So when we do our chip seals,
with the towns. Some of them have a little consortium down in the southwest corner where they'll get together and the townships will help with the trucking of the material and reduce some of those labor costs. They may rent and operate some of our more basic equipment like the brooms and stuff like that. They may buy the material ahead of time and stockpile it themselves with their trucks to save on us hauling during the project when it comes to like chip sealing the roads. But yeah, we'll work with any of the towns on that. We'll give them an estimate on the project, and if they want to go ahead and work with us, we can do a work authorization with that. At the end of the day, it comes down to time and materials. So we, round the estimate up enough to hopefully deliver that or under for the cost. But yeah, we've got several townships that work with us on the spray patching, the crack sealing, and the chip sealing. So yeah, that's something we could
I'll
work with
bring
them
some of
on.
that to the town.
If the town has an employee, like with the spray patching, if we send out the patching trailer to the town, if they can provide an operator just to operate the truck that has a CDL, that's one less person I have to send up there and they have to pay us. So they're paying their townsperson anyways to be there that day. He can operate the truck while our guy runs the patching machine. So we're flexible too. It's not all or nothing, we'll work with them.
I guess my picture was, we have no town man, we have no equipment, nothing, so.
But if the township or the
Different
town
look at it.
town chair wants to reach out to us and has a project in mind, certainly we'd do an estimate for that and they can look at that and compare it with bids they may get from Farner or another company like that.
Okay, I'll bring that back to the town and him, because I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anything else for the highway commissioner? Okay, Josh, thanks. We'll get our homework at the end of the meeting, huh?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Farmington Town Board was postponed from last night pre-election to Wednesday night, tomorrow night.
Is that?
Farmington Township meeting.
Okay, Sheriff Walker. Oh. Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Josh. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
This guy's on TV all the time.
Afternoon. I'm having Don circulate. We did a operation on Saturday. We captured a wanted alleged murderer less than a mile from where we sit here. He had been hiding out for several days in an apartment, and Hennepin County Violent Offender Task Force, and New Hope PD assisted, also resources from the State Department of Criminal Investigation. They have some technology that we use to help track these fugitives. But basically, a very successful mission. Our staff, again, dedicated, had almost 100% attendance on a Saturday afternoon when it was way too nice to be working, sunny day. But anyway, it's a testament to the training and the equipment and the resources that we have and that we have access to, specifically our canine. This guy was going to jump out a second-story window, but he saw the canine, and the canine sounded off on him, and he decided that's probably not the best path to go. So you see the dog work, you see our people work. It's very rewarding, and it kept our community safe. As you know, we have a school close by there. We have, a government center here close by, and this is the kind of person that is in that area. So I'm happy that guy is behind bars. We were approved for our tribal grant again, which is, we apply that to the Unity School Resource position. So we're happy to get that for next year. That works out really well. We have the partnership with the tribe where we apply that money to the school resource because that's where we have the most impact with the youth from the Round Lake community. We also have approval for next year's PSAP grant, which will total about $259,000. We did have $25,000 match, which we already had budgeted for. So that's a good addition. That money will go towards fixing and upfitting the command center with technology as far as to be our backup dispatch center. So radios and computers, basically the real expensive stuff. Unfortunately, it's always expensive. We have We just got done, we're doing some training with a new system for doing cell checks in the Polk County Jail, the Guardian system. Basically, it looks like a cell phone and it's a way to scan and do your cell checks. If you're behind on a cell check, it'll actually alert the corrections officer that you're due for a cell check. So it gives us more accountability and it's more easier to use than the system we have. You know, the system we have was pretty dated, so it's nice to update and get that Guardian cell check system. And that was a recommendation too by the state DOC. When they do our annual inspections, they oftentimes suggest some of the things we could do to improve, and that was one of them. So we're keeping up with that. It's really all I have at this time. Any questions?
What's our fatality?
We're at 8.
8?
Yep. We had 16 last year, so knocking on wood.
On wood.
Hope we don't have any more.
Any other questions or comments for the sheriff? Hearing none, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Administrator Norby, update.
Yes, Mr. Chair, very short. Currently staff's working on the budget, finalizing everything for, the bonding and the avenues that, need to happen to accomplish that. Also, at county board I'll be appointing, members to the library committee. That committee is, done every 5 years to adopt a new library plan. So we sent out applications and got applications back from different libraries and representation from around the county. And Chair Duncanson will be chairing that committee, so I'll have those appointments next Tuesday. That's all I have.
Any questions for the administrator? Hearing none, moving on to 14, update from Supervisor Rowdy.
Yes, in the discussion today, the bathrooms at Avery were discussed, but that's been postponed. And it just gave the clubs a chance to give their side of what's happening there in Avery to Rod and Tony. And then on to maintenance. There's a bridge in St. Croix Falls that's underrated for the bigger equipment that the clubs use in their tractors and trying to groom the trails. So that's 9,000. And what does it have to be now? 20,000 pounds? And that's a big discretion there. My mind doesn't remember what's a tractor and a groomer weighs now, these new big ones. But it's
18,000 or 16,000.
so this bridge needs to be repaired.
Where's the bridge?
Pardon?
Which bridge is that?
Over
They said-
Fairgrounds Road. It's that arch bridge.
Oh, that big one? Yeah. Been there a long time.
Yes.
So it can be repaired or does that have to be replaced?
It's rated at 9,000 pounds now, so we're trying to get it replaced.
And the second one would be the bridge by Luck on 270th that was just repaired last year. And it has been hit so many times with high trucks. And Tony's going to meeting, or they're either coming here tomorrow with the DNR.
Yeah, meeting with the DNR tomorrow on the future of that bridge.
And it sounds like the future is either remove it or raise it. So maybe that'll end the dilemma there. But these are hard to get through with the DNR all the years I've listened to what they're doing at the bridges. But anyway, Tony's having a meeting tomorrow, so maybe next month we'll have an update on what's happening with these bridges. So that's about it, unless they have another to fill in.
If they actually replaced it, well, last year they had the opportunity to raise it. The contractor was on site and the DNR said they didn't have the funding for it. So to replace that bridge would be probably $300,000.
But there's some big issues if it is removed, trying to get the groomers down around and up or go, but 4 or 5 miles around to come start back in the same place. But those are what's gonna come out of all of these discussions and what they do.
Which is the St. Croix one.
Yeah, that one would probably be more because it's longer.
Wow.
Had the one on 270th. Is that what it is, 270th Avenue?
I think so.
Straight away. Wouldn't it be just as well take it out?
Well, that's what Rod said. It's to either raise it or take it out. And he said he was good with either one.
Yeah, you just taper if it's got a,
The biggest
Taper.
issue there is there's that little stream or creek that runs under it. So that's their biggest,
oh, I didn't know that.
yeah.
There's a creek right next to, that runs between the road and actually the abutment of the bridge that runs through there. It's really tight in there.
That explains a lot.
And then the other issue is the safety factor of adding another crossing with traffic for snowmobiles and walkers and stuff.
The enormous amount of fill to get it to the proper slope for the approach, if I recall.
It's quite long since that bridge is so high.
Just not high enough.
Just not high. That much.
Okay, any questions then at this point for Supervisor Rowdy?
They just worked through them. That was great. I said they worked through them. That was great.
Okay, discussion possible action regarding budget amendment recommendations. Who's got that?
That'd be myself, Mr. Chair. This item is on all the committees, being that, next Tuesday is when the final say on the budget, just in case there was any other amendments that a committee was coming forth that we didn't know about, to add to the budget. So, right now we're in go mode for what's been approved so far. Still with a balanced budget and a stable levy.
And the three positions for the sheriff are still in.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion at this point? Anybody? I don't think there's anything to add to our work plan at this point. Except for that public hearing that we'll have to have next meeting. I guess we don't need to add that to work plan. It's a one-time thing, so.
There,
Huh?
I believe it's already on there, Mr. Chair.
Okay. You're way ahead of me. I'm not surprised.
Did you want to have the public works meeting prior to the
We could do that
Public
too, I guess, and then we just,
5 o'clock, or would you like it
that'd
reversed?
be, that's up to you. I mean, I don't know where you work thing, you're off, so.
well, isn't the point of it to take what they have for recommendations to put it into the meeting?
You have to have a public hearing.
I'm not sure that we do anything with, do we do a motion or anything after the meeting or?
Take those recommendations into it during the public comment, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
so-
We can do that, yep.
so we should be
So do we,
public comment at 5 in the meeting to follow.
That would be one way, that would,
yeah, I guess that's what set it up.
I won't be here at the December meeting. I gotta have a shoulder operation and
Excuse.
Or a lot of times what environmental services will do is they'll have their meeting and then the public hearing will be in the middle of it.
Sure.
So you
Come
could
back in.
have your meeting at 4 or 4:30. Acknowledge that you're stopping at 5 because the public hearing will start at 5 and then
That'd probably work pretty well.
that's the way that,
Yeah, so 4 o'clock meeting, 5 o'clock.
How about 4:30?
4:30.
Okay,
That'll be a tighter time frame for the 5 o'clock.
okay.
and any business you didn't finish before 5, you can take up at.
Adjourn for the public hearing and then go back into session.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
For the plan.
I don't know if we have any subject matters other than that for the next meeting.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
One quick question. Do we have to do anything on this, outdoor toilet at Amory? Do we have anything to this one? I think I know what happened, but
Well, what happened was the interim administrator showed up for the meeting. Thought, so he was in on the snowmobile meeting. And he had some thoughts about cost sharing and some of the things probably didn't get really into the discussion. So I think in fairness to the city of Amory, we should just, table it, let them have their discussions.
Their meeting is tomorrow night.
Oh, Amory's?
Yeah.
Oh,
So Rod, you could just contact,
They're gonna contact me after their meeting.
okay. Yeah, so just so we have a dialogue, I didn't think it was right that we just slam the door without
right.
being there or here. So that's,
You don't like the maintenance of it.
we had a little dialogue going, but I think,
Well, what happened?
I think it just deserves a second look, see where it's at. Motion made and second to adjourn. Are we ready? All those in favor?
Aye.